Hi, and welcome back to Arno TV. I'm Arno, your lovable host, back with another topical video. This weekend, it's been a weekend of anniversaries. I mean, I was driving around in my car today, listening to the radio, and it was all about the 50th anniversary of Black Sabbath. Now, obviously, there's no disputing at all that Black Sabbath as a band are the seminal heavy metal band. I mean, they invented the genre. Tony Iommi, his riffs invented the genre, and it's been 50 years since the first Black Sabbath album, which is unbelievable. I mean, for anybody out there that's never listened to Black Sabbath, I don't think personally they're given as much credit as they should actually get outside the world of heavy metal, because this guy invented a style of music by accident. So I mean, all heavy metal fans will know what the story is, but for anybody that doesn't, Tony Iommi, the guitar player, he lost two of his fingertips in an accident at work in cutting metal in a metal machine, and lost the end of his fingertips. Now, for most people who had an accident like that, that would be your guitar playing days done. And he himself thought his guitar playing days were done at the time. Obviously, understandably, became very depressed and thought he was never going to play again. And the owner of the factory where this accident occurred felt so guilty about it, because I think he was actually going to be leaving work that day to pursue a professional career as a guitar player. And he'd gone back into work that afternoon. He'd actually gone home for lunch or something and not wanted to go back, but his mother sort of made him go back. So he'd gone back and ended up on this machine that he'd never worked on before and lost his fingertips. And anyway, the factory owner felt sort of guilty, ended up bringing him round a Django Reinhardt record and sort of said to him, this guy had an accident similar to you and lost some of the usage of his fingers, and he's playing guitar and he's doing great. And obviously he listened to that and that inspired him, and he sort of decided there and then, well, this isn't going to stop me. If somebody's done it before, I'll do it. And he basically made himself fingertips out of washing up liquid bottles and bits of leather that he cut to them to try and grip the strings. And obviously, because he'd had this accident, he had to sort of loosen and slacken the strings because they were too tight. The tightness of the regular tightness of the string was basically really hurting his fingers, understandably. And through that happy accident, the music ended up sounding darker and going in a completely different direction. And they created a genre from that happy accident, which is unbelievable. I mean, when you think of the body of work, I mean, there are people out there that obviously like lots of different inceptions of Black Sabbath, but for me personally, really there is only one Black Sabbath, and that's Ozzy Osbourne, Geezer Butler, Tony Iommi and Bill Ward. So for me, personally, and I know there'll be Dio fans out there screaming at me right now, and don't get me wrong, Dio was a great singer. They did some great albums with Dio, but for me, they weren't really Black Sabbath. I think they would have been better off going out under the moniker of Heaven and Hell, which they did in their later years, So, but as I said, for me personally, it's Ozzy, Geezer, Tony and Bill, a Black Sabbath. And you think of the body of work that they put out in the 70s. I mean, they put out 8 great albums, Black Sabbath, all the way through to the last album that they did with Ozzy, Never Say Die, and just groundbreaking stuff. I mean, almost the albums that they put out are almost like A and B sides in a lot of respects. And what I mean by that is, like, the first 2 albums, Black Sabbath and Paranoid, they could almost be an A and a B side of the same recording session, and that goes for as well. Then on to Master Reality and Vol 4. Again, they sound like they could have come from the same recording session. Then you've got the next 2 albums, Sabbath Bloody Sabbath and Sabotage, which I've got to say, my personal 2 favourite Sabbath albums. Again, could be an A and a B side of the same session. and the final two albums with Ozzy, Technical Ecstasy and Never Say Die, again could have been an A and a B side of the same sessions, because they're all sort of, you know, 4 sort of different directions within that 8-year period, and just track after track that's just fantastic, riff after riff from the god himself, Iommi. I mean, that man has just, he's a riff machine, you know. I mean, you know, there's guitar players out there that would be regarded as much more technical and better school players, but you know, in terms of what that guy's done for music, there's just no one better at all. So, I mean, if there are any sort of younger people out there that have really not checked out Black Sabbath before, I would strongly advise it. I mean, you know, as in a previous video I was talking about, you know, when I was a teenager and you look at the bands that you're listening to and they're citing their influences, which inspires you to go look at them. I mean, you know, Black Sabbath is another one. I mean, I was first exposed to Black Sabbath really through listening to bands that were much heavier than that, the death metal bands of the early 90s and stuff, that were all citing Sabbath as their influences. And I think the first ever Sabbath album I heard was with my good friend Mass, and we sort of pilfered it out of his dad's record collection, which was Master Reality. I think that was the first Black Sabbath album I ever heard, and it just blew me away. You know, there's something about the sound that they created, Ozzy's voice over those dark riffs. I mean, he sounds like he's singing from a dark place within his soul somewhere, and it's a marriage that's just made in heaven, his voice and that sound. I mean, it's just amazing, you know, just totally amazing stuff. So obviously, you know, it's been prompting me to be listening to some Black Sabbath today. I dug out a radio broadcast that I've really liked for a long time. What I'll try and do is I'll actually post that in the description on this video. It's a radio broadcast from 1975, and it is on the Sabotage tour. So there's all sorts of stuff on there that you don't regularly hear them play, things like Megalomania, you know, just amazing. It's recorded through a soundboard as well, so it was a radio broadcaster, so it's a really good quality, and you can just hear in this performance that you're listening to a band at the peak of their career. Ozzy's vocals are great, Iommi's playing's great, Geezer and Bill are just thundering away. It's just an amazing, you know, broadcast performance, something that I wish I could have seen, but you know, obviously I wouldn't have been around back then, so you know, I never got to see them in their heyday, and I wish I had done, because you can hear on this broadcast that they are just firing on all cylinders. And so I'll put that out. I'll put that on this video, so anybody that's not ever heard Black Sabbath before, it's something quite unique to check out, and it's a good way of celebrating 50 years of their music, because I mean, as I said, the body of work that they put out, it's just track after track after track of great stuff. And you know, talk about again a groundbreaking band, which, you know, unsurprisingly, the British music press, when they first released an album, slated them. Well, there's a surprise, isn't there? There's a real surprise. The British music industry slated something when it first came out, and it went on to be massive. And then they'll call them 20 years later legends that are Black Sabbath. Well, you know, I mean, we can think of a number of bands that the music press have done that to, that have gone on to become huge. You know, ironically, I was the radio thing that I was listening to today in the car. They were talking to Brian May on there, and Brian May is Tony Iommi's best mate. And you know, he was obviously telling some tales about what they get up to. Apparently, he's got so many riffs that they're working on an album of all the riffs that he never used that they're going to do something with, so that'll be interesting. But again, another band that the British music press slagged off when they came out was Queen. and they went on to be massive as well, so there's a lesson to be learned there somewhere, isn't there? If the British music press slags something off, check it out. It might be the next big thing that's coming. So yeah, it's been great listening to some of the Sabbath stuff today. Always enjoy listening to Sabbath. I mean, like I said, for me, the original lineup, there is only one Sabbath for me, and that's it. I mean, as I was saying, I mean, some of their overlooked stuff as well. Like a lot of people overlook Never Say Die and Technical Ecstasy, which are a fantastic album. Some really, really cool stuff on there that's different. You know, a song like Air Dance. I mean, anybody that's not heard Black Sabbath before, they probably have this impression of the band as all out heavy all the time. Well, they're such a versatile band. I mean, if you listen to something like Air Dance, it could be a jazz piece, you know. It's just an amazing band. Obviously, great musicians. Please, anybody that's not listened to Black Sabbath before, as it's their 50th anniversary, definitely go check them out. As I said, I'm going to post that link that I discussed earlier in the description, which is a radio broadcast of Black Sabbath live in 1975 on the Sabotage Tour. So that'll be there for you to check out. You've been watching Arno TV. If you've enjoyed watching this video and you want to see more made, please don't forget to like the channel and subscribe to the channel. Ring the notification bell so you'll get any videos that are forthcoming in the future. But for now, it's been me, Arno, and I want you all to stay safe out there, keep well, stay rock and roll, and take care.